Hello, beautiful souls, and welcome to the Woo Curious podcast. Your map to the mystical, your key to the sacred, and your guide back home to yourself. I'm Eileen, a writer, a spiritual coach, energy healer, and slow living witch. This podcast is your invitation to explore a world where the mundane and the sacred intertwine. It's a haven for those ready to take the first steps into the realms of magic and mystery, providing a safe space for you to embark on your own enchanted journey towards healing and self-discovery. Here, I'll unveil the whispers of the mystical, the rituals often hidden in plain sight, and I'll engage in sacred conversation intended to stir your soul and lead you back into your power. I'm all about demystifying woo and witchcraft. So, whether you're a seasoned seeker or simply woo curious, I'm so delighted you've decided to join me on this journey. Let's make magic. Hey Woo Crew, welcome back to another episode of the Woo Curious podcast. I am your host, Eileen, and I am here today with a solo episode. I was sitting down trying to decide what it was I wanted to speak to you about today, and soft, simple magic came to mind. And part of the reason it came to mind, I think, is because of the work that I'm doing, the offers that I have currently running that I'm going to speak to a little bit, kind of woven through this episode, but especially because of my day yesterday. And so I don't always do this where I just share a little bit about my days, but I would like to share about yesterday because it was lovely. It was so lovely. This week has been a balm to my soul. It feels like things have softened in a big way, and I'm quite certain that this has to do with the Cancer new moon, with Jupiter also in Cancer. For me, this is landing in my 12th house, so the behind the scenes, the inner work, the underground, the subconscious realms. And it's been palpable. And I know not everybody's feeling this way. I have a couple of clients who've been a little bit more frazzled or frantic, and I'm going to speak to that as well, and how easy it can be to shift out of that, but also how hard it can be to shift out of that on our own. And so yesterday I got up. I was getting ready to go to the gym. I go to the gym 2 to 3 times a week. I am signed up for classes. That keeps me accountable. And especially as I get older, I find it's really helpful for my energy level. And I know that it's important as a woman who is nearing or potentially in perimenopause to be lifting weights and doing that work for my body as I get older. And I was brushing my hair just before I headed to the gym, putting my hair in a braid, and I noticed long gray hair in my hairbrush. If you're watching this on YouTube, you can see that my hair is mostly brown still. I don't dye my hair, I never have, but I am starting to have those grays, and a lot of them show up in my bangs, and so they're these kind of shorter little pieces, and then you get the wiry sticky outy bits as they grow, but it's pretty rare still to this day for me to get a whole long, and my hair is long, beautiful silver hair in my hairbrush. And so as I was frantically running out the door to go to the gym, I grabbed that hair. I kept it with me because something that feels really resonant for me, so this little piece of very simple, precious magic, is offering gifts to my more than human kin, my plant allies, the fae folk. And one of the things that we can offer when we're in reciprocity with plant kin, especially, whether that be the wild rose bushes that line my property that I get to harvest from throughout this kind of season of midsummer, or the May Day tree, the hagberry tree that if you've been with me for a while, you may have heard me speak to. If you're following me over on socials, you'll definitely have seen. She is a beauty. Is giving something of ourselves is a beautiful form of reciprocity. So the trees don't want the same things that we want, right? They don't want money. They don't want material goods. What they want is an offer of ourselves. And so sometimes people will offer a song. You could speak a poem to your tree. You could simply lay your hand on your tree. You can offer tobacco. That would be a fairly traditional and indigenous form of offering. But it's one that I've so far not heard that us white settlers should avoid. I have some old cigars that a friend of mine inherited, and I think we smoked a couple of them back in the day and they just got super dried out. And so I've just crumbled them up and I will carry a little pouch of tobacco with me to offer. But what I really love to offer is my hair. And it's a piece of me, right? If we think about the history and I don't want to call it superstitions, but the ideas that folks, at least of Celtic descent, have had about hair and how it holds our essence, right? It's grown out of our bodies. So witches of old and many witches today probably still would be really careful not to let anybody get their hands on their hair. Even if we think about things like voodoo or charms or spells, right? You think about having to get a piece of that person. And we know from science, like DNA, we are identifiable by our hair. And so it makes sense that on the energetic fields and the energetic planes, that would be true as well. And I'm not particularly worried about anyone doing bad magic with my hair, and especially not coming from my backyard. So what I love when these silver hairs are released from my head, if I see them, if I catch them, I love to bring them and offer them at the base of this tree, which is also a tree beloved by the Fae folk. And so I have crystals there that I've offered. I'll often offer the altar flowers from when we have Wheel of the Year celebrations. I'll go and put the flowers that I use for that altar around the base of this tree. And I'll also place my hair when it's released. And I'm sharing this with you because magic doesn't have to be complicated. That moment, that intention, that desire, it set the tone for my day. It made me feel this warm glow of connection and reciprocity inside. It added a sparkle, a twinkle of magic and mystery to my day. There was a whimsy to it. And it was so simple. It took no time at all. I was running out to the door to the gym. It took longer than it should have because I also made an Instagram story about it as I was doing it. But it could have taken, 30 seconds, a quick little prayer, a thank you, a blessing into my car on my day. I got to go work out outside, which was lovely. Barefoot in the grass is beautiful. And then the afternoon yesterday, I had a soft summer VIP session, a soft summer power session with a client. And I won't go into detail. Obviously, what we shared together is very much her journey, but I'm going to share just a few little nuanced bits of it, a few little moments. So I was lucky enough to be able to go to this client's home. They live in Calgary, which is lovely. She lives in Calgary. And so we both got to spend 3 hours in each other's physical presence. And now these sessions are intended to be delivered online. We can create magic online. We can go just as deep. And we all know there's something so tender and lovely about being able to be in person, to be held, to be touched. And what I wanted to weave here into this episode with a theme that I want to talk about was the shift in my client's energy when she remembered that she doesn't have to hold it all. When she remembered that the earth has the capacity, she is strong enough and vast enough to hold all of our anxiety, all of our grief, all of our rage. And as we worked through a healing on a blanket on the grass, I watched this pent-up energy just melt out of my client. And it's just such a beautiful moment. The shift in her and her clarity and her ease and her body and her mind and everything from the moment I walked in to the time I left 3 hours later. It was like two different women. And so often when we are trying to carry it all, to hold everything for everyone, to do our own growth and healing work while also encouraging our partners perhaps to do their own, or feeling like we're shifting and growing and they're not coming along, there is this sense that we're left on our own to manage everything. And I know this isn't everybody's experience, and I know that it's many, many women's experience, that feeling of loneliness, even when we are in company, in relationship with our families, with our friends, of not being seen or heard. And the reminder here for everyone, especially as we move into the really busy time of summer, where it can sometimes feel like you're taking on even more. Our bodies and our brains, I think, have this connection to summer as a kid, which meant no school, right? No work, vacation, play and laughter and lack of routine and all of that stuff. And then as adults, our bodies are ready for that. We are subconsciously expecting that, and it doesn't play out the same way, because for most adults, we don't get to take the whole summer off of work. And on top of that, for many of us, we have children now who are not in school. And so summer becomes actually more full and more work in a lot of ways. We have less time for ourselves. We have less time to slow down and enjoy. So I want to offer here for you permission. Permission to receive without having to do more, right? Often we tie it into our worth, that we are doing more, that we are showing that we are worthy of receiving support or love or help. And one of the ways that I love supporting my clients through the summer months specifically, I ran this last year and I'm bringing it back this year, is through remote healing work. I call it the Summer Healing Special. And if you've been with me a while, you may have heard me speak to this form of energy healing where you don't need to be physically present on screen or otherwise with me. You don't need to schedule another thing into your busy day. You simply go about your day and receive the energy healing, because we actually have some quantum physics. I was reading a post the other day about this, and it's so fun. I love it when the science is like catching up and giving us that solid proof that we are conditioned to want or to need in our society, about how all of the woo is not actually woo. It's actually grounded in real energetic principles. And so we know that particles that are ages apart from each other, kilometers, miles, wherever you're listening to this from, apart from each other, can impact each other, can interact and have effects on each other. And so that's why distance or remote healing work works. Because when I drop in, my energy body can meet your energy body wherever you are. And yes, if you're able to carve a little bit of time and space on the day to receive, drop into meditation, go for a walk, that can be like an added layer of nourishment for your nervous system. And it's not needed, which is the coolest part of these packages, or this way of working, is that I get to drop in, receive messages from your guides, get that wisdom, that guidance. Your energy body shares with me what it wants you to know. I get to help with balancing, with healing, with releasing, whatever's being called for. And then I send over what I found by voice note. These are really precious little moments. And for the summer months, I'm running the Summer Healing Special. You get 2 of these healings a month, so bi-weekly, and it's $250. And you could go, July, August into September. You could just do a month, whatever feels the most nourishing. Anyways, I wanted to speak to that a little bit because, again, the theme today is simplicity. How much or how little can you give yourself permission to do? Can you give yourself permission to receive support without having to do more? Can you give yourself permission to tap into the magic, to create ritual and meaning and add depth to your summer without making it a big production, right? It doesn't have to be complicated. It doesn't have to be fancy. It can be as simple as leaving a hair at the base of your favorite sit tree. It can be as simple as laying down in the grass and visualizing all of the worries and the anxieties and the griefs and the angers, all of that pent up emotion or all of the responsibilities, visualizing them melting into the earth so that she can hold them for you, so you're not holding all of them. It's about remembering, even when you feel lonely, that you are never alone. You're human, but also you're more than human kin. They're always right there with you, right? The plants, the land, the animals, the fungi, the networks of energy are always connecting you. And I know it's not the same as getting a hug from a person, but hugging a tree can feel really good too. And speaking to the robins when there's nobody else who feels like they're listening. It's incredible how much more rich and peopled life becomes when we see the people who are not human, our non-human people, all around us. And so these are the 3 things I would love for you to bring into your summer, into what hopefully will be able to be a time of presence and rest and clarity. There's so much light. It's a beautiful time for getting clear, for being out in the world and socializing, and cultivating that presence, cultivating the moments of stillness, cultivating the moments of magic in the simplest, mundane parts of your day. And if you're wanting support, I would be honored to drop into remote healing space with you. Or if you're feeling like you need some one-on-one TLC to set the tone, to clear what's holding you down, to release what isn't serving, so that you might move forward into your summer with presence, with peace, with joy, planting those seeds of intention, and really having a summer where you get to soak in the juices, suck the marrow out of the summer. It's such a delicious time of year if we can be present to it and enjoy it. That's what the soft summer power sessions are all about. It's 3 hours one-on-one of magic, of coaching, of energy work, of ritual creation, whatever is being called for, whatever is needed. And then 2 weeks of unlimited WhatsApp support and a follow-up call to wrap it all up, to touch in, to check in on how things are moving. So if you're interested in either of those, I don't have landing pages for them because it's me. That felt like a lot of work. And so as always, you can either shoot me a message over on Instagram at I am Eileen March. If you're on YouTube and you want to leave a comment and say, hey, I want more info, leave me a comment there and I'll reach out. Send me an email. That's probably the easiest. Well, that and Instagram are probably the easiest ways to do it. Eileen at myluminouslife.ca. And we'll talk about details and dates and payment plans and all of that, because as always, I want this to be accessible for you and supportive for you. I want you to have the most radiant summer in your memory. Next time I'm dropping into your ears, I will be post Wild Roses Women's Festival. I'm so excited to be headed to that festival this coming weekend as you listen to this. I won't obviously have recorded a session after this, so the me talking to you next Monday won't have experienced this festival, but I'm so excited and so looking forward to all of the wisdom that I will be able to bring back and share with you from that festival. I get to present on stage on the Sunday morning, all about finding the courage to rest and healing the witch wound so that we might do so All right, Woo Crew, I'm going to wrap it up here. Thank you, as always, for listening. If you enjoyed the episode, please leave me a rating, a review. It helps ever so much. If you're on YouTube, like, subscribe, comment, all of those things. Share it with a friend, and I will see you back here this time next week. Bye for now.